Inside the most expensive mansion in the world, you won't believe what's inside. There's a comfortable lie that almost everyone has learned to repeat. Luxury is ostentation, it's exaggeration, it's purposeless excess. But what if I told you that the richest people in the world think exactly the opposite? That true luxury isn't what's visible, but what acts silently, shaping decisions, protecting energy, and amplifying power. This mansion isn't just expensive, it's a psychological manifesto. And that's where most people start to feel uncomfortable. The curious thing is that when someone enters a place like this, they don't immediately feel envy. They feel something worse, a sense of estrangement, as if they realize they've spent their entire life chasing the wrong symbols. Nothing there was designed to impress ordinary visitors. Everything was designed to sustain focus, clarity, and control at a level rarely explained in books or superficial videos. It's almost unfair, but it's real. And perhaps the most provocative question is this: if the environment in which you live directly influences the way you think, decide, and act, how many choices in your life have been shaped by spaces that limit you without you realizing it? Upon entering this mansion, you discover not only what exists inside, you discover what is missing outside. And this completely changes the way you perceive wealth, success, and even freedom. The door that nobody opens. The first impression upon entering the mansion. There's something curious that happens even before you set foot inside the most expensive mansion in the world. It's not the gigantic gate, nor the almost cinematic walls. It's the silence. A silence that weighs heavily, that seems to warn, from here on out, the rules change. Those who have been near places like this often say that the air feels different, denser, almost as if the environment were watching you back. It is there, in that first second, that many people realize that true luxury doesn't shout, it whispers. When the door finally opens, there's no immediate exaggeration. And that's confusing. No scattered gold or obvious ostentation right away. The impact comes from the scale, from the space that makes you feel small without being humiliated. It's like entering a modern cathedral, designed to inspire respect, not childish awe. This is no accident. Whoever builds something like this has a deep understanding of human psychology and the perception of power. And then comes the detail that almost no one notices, but changes everything. The door closes behind you without making a sound. No creaking, no echo. Only then does it click. Every sound, every texture, every step was calculated. It's not just a house, it's a sensory experience planned to reprogram whoever enters. And when you understand that, you start to wonder what else was designed to act unnoticed, especially in the next room that unfolds just ahead. The main hall, where the impossible becomes decoration. Upon entering the main hall, the feeling is not of being in a room but inside a materialized idea. The absurdly high ceiling isn't there just to impress. It creates an unconscious sense of expansion, as if the mind were invited to think bigger. Curiously, neuroarchitecture studies show that spacious environments stimulate creativity and bold decision-making. It's no coincidence. Those who live there understand that physical space also shapes mental space. The eye doesn't know where to go first. A work of art can cost more than entire neighborhoods, but it doesn't come with a plaque or explanation. It's simply there, as if it were obvious. Marble extracted from a quarry closed decades ago, wood that took centuries to achieve that tone. Sculptures commissioned from artists who only accept 2 or 3 clients in the world. Nothing demands attention. Everything assumes you already know its value. And if you don't, the problem isn't with the house. One detail catches the eye of those who observe more closely. Nothing there was chosen solely for its beauty. Each object tells a story of power, access, and time. True wealth is revealed when someone buys what is not for sale. And in this room, Almost everything was custom-made, waiting years to exist. This raises a disturbing question. If the most public space of the mansion already reveals so much control and intention, what is hidden where almost no one is invited to enter? The invisible technology that controls everything. The most impressive thing about this mansion isn't immediately apparent. There are no flashing screens or voice commands scattered around. The technology there is silent, almost shy, like a butler who anticipates your desires before you even open your mouth. Sensors adjust the light, temperature, and even the aroma of the environment according to the resident's mood, identified by movement patterns and heart rate. It seems excessive, but it's not. It's routine for those who live at this level. The curious thing is that none of this draws attention. You walk, sit, breathe, and everything adapts. It's as if the house were alive, learning from every gesture. The true luxury is not having control, but not having to think about it. While many people get lost trying to master tools, those who live there have outsourced the mental effort. This frees up energy for bigger, more strategic decisions, exactly where fortunes are usually built or preserved. And there's an even more subtle point: security. There are no visible cameras, nor reinforced doors in sight. Even so, the level of protection rivals that of military installations. Facial recognition, micro-expression reading, real-time thermal mapping. Everything happens behind the scenes, far from the ego. This technology doesn't just protect property, it protects peace. And when you understand that, it becomes impossible not to wonder what the space is like, where the owner of this mansion actually lets his guard down, if he ever does. The owner's private wing. The luxury no one shows. While the rest of the mansion impresses, the private wing is disconcerting. Not because of excess, but because of the opposite. The master bedroom, for example, doesn't look like a five-star hotel room. It looks better. There's space, silence, and an almost total absence of unnecessary stimuli. The bed wasn't chosen for its design, but based on studies of deep sleep. The mattress was adjusted to the owner's weight, posture, and body temperature. Sleeping there isn't rest, it's strategic recovery. The closet reveals another layer of this invisible luxury. A few pieces, all impeccable, organized like a system, not like a shop window. Nothing there was bought on impulse. Each garment serves a clear purpose: meetings, trips, specific events. Truly wealthy people don't waste energy deciding what to wear. Repetitive decisions tire the mind, and those who play at a high level protect their focus as if it were gold. In the bathroom, the same pattern repeats itself. Nothing flashy or extravagant, but technology applied to extreme well-being. Hospital-grade filtered water, lighting that respects the circadian rhythm, mirrors that show more than just appearance, they show data. Everything there exists to keep the owner at their physical and mental peak. And this raises an inevitable question. If true luxury lies in preserving clarity and energy, what else does this mansion hide to sustain a life at this level? The safe and the hidden secrets, where the real fortune lies. There's a spot in the mansion that almost no one sees, and when they do, they don't comment. Not out of fear, but instinct. The vault isn't just a fortified room, it's a symbolic space. It doesn't just hold money, jewels, or gold bars. That would be predictable. It contains original contracts, works never before exhibited to the public, intellectual property rights worth more than entire companies. It's the kind of wealth that doesn't appear in rankings because it simply doesn't need to. One detail catches the eye of a more discerning observer. The safe doesn't impress with its size, but with its organization. Everything is cataloged, accessible, and functional. Clutter is a sign of loss of control, and control is one of the most valuable assets in the world. There are, for example, documents related to business deals that never made the news, investments made before trends became fashionable, and decisions made when no one else was watching. And then there are the objects that have no measurable financial value. Letters, personal records, mementos of difficult decisions, failures that taught more than victories. This is almost never shown, but it sustains everything else. Because those who have reached this level know money is a consequence, not a foundation. And when you understand this, a disturbing curiosity arises. If even secrets are treated as assets, what leads someone to create extravagances that defy all common logic? Extravagances that defy common sense. This is where most people think they understand luxury, and are wrong. The extravagances of this mansion don't exist for comfort, but for a silent assertion of power. An underground cinema larger than many commercial theaters, with acoustics tuned for a single listener. An indoor pool whose water changes density to simulate different oceans of the world. It seems excessive, and that's exactly the point. When someone can ignore common sense, they are communicating that they have already won the basic game of survival. These extravagances are not empty whims. They function as psychological markers. For the owner, they are daily reminders of how far he has come. For guests, they are clear signs of hierarchy, even if no one says a word. It's similar to buying time instead of objects. Except here, one buys the impossible. And when something is impossible for almost everyone, it acquires a value that cannot be measured in money. There are also extravagances that border on the invisible. A personal studio for thinking, isolated from any external signals. An indoor garden with plants extinct in their natural habitats. A clock that doesn't tell hours, but personal cycles of productivity. Few people understand this, and that's okay. Extreme luxury doesn't seek approval. It exists to serve its own logic. And this logic inevitably leads to a bigger question. After all, why would someone build all this if it weren't for something much deeper than comfort? The real reason this mansion exists. After seeing all of this, it becomes clear that this mansion wasn't built just for living. It exists as an extension of the mind of its creator. Every space, every choice, and even every silence communicates something about control, legacy, and permanence. At this level, the house ceases to be a shelter and becomes a message. Not for the whole world, but for those who truly matter. The owner himself and his closest circle. There is also a little discussed emotional layer. For many billionaires, building something like this is a way to organize internal chaos. Where there was once uncertainty, now there is structure. Where there was fear of the future, now there is something that seems eternal. It's like writing a book in concrete, glass, and steel saying, "I was here, I made it." It's not about ostentation, but about leaving a mark that survives time and crises. And perhaps the most counterintuitive point is this. The mansion wasn't built to be shown off, but to be felt. It functions as a decision-making center, a place where major plans are conceived away from the noise of the world. When you understand this, the question changes completely. It's no longer, how much does it cost to live here? But, what does this structure allow us to create, protect, and multiply? And that's exactly where this story starts to get even more interesting. After all this, it becomes clear that this mansion isn't about expensive walls or rare objects. It's about conscious decisions. It's about understanding that the environment shapes thought, that silence can be a powerful tool, and that luxury, at its core, is having the clarity to make better choices every day. The big question isn't whether you want to live in a place like this, but what, in your life today, is draining your energy without you realizing it. What habits, spaces, or distractions are keeping you small when you could be thinking bigger? Now think calmly. If you could adjust just one thing in your daily life, your routine, your environment, your choices, what would you change first? It doesn't have to be radical. Sometimes it's organizing your workspace, better filtering the information you consume, or protecting your time more. Small, repeated decisions create invisible structures as powerful as any billion-dollar mansion. The difference is that almost no one teaches you this clearly. If this content made you reflect, comment below. What detail surprised you the most? The silence, the invisible technology, or the way luxury has been redefined? And if you want to continue learning how people who play the game of life on another level think, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss the next videos, because some ideas, once they get into your head, simply don't leave.